Hello, Rob here from the Flanagan Homestead and East Fork Christmas Tree Farms. I want to talk a little bit about pricing your Christmas tree, and there's different people that do it different ways. Barry, my business partner, and I have talked about possibly doing it differently over the years, but we've pretty much stayed the course, and we actually do it a little bit differently than other people. There's advantages and disadvantages to that. But today, I just got done visiting with Glen Thornton, the owner of Thorntons Tree Land, the largest U-cut Christmas tree farm in the county. They're famous around here. He sells about 5,000 U-cut trees a year approximately. And and he obviously does really well, much larger farm than I am. And what he does, and he said he used to do it price per foot, which a lot of people do. So let's talk about that. First of all, in our area anyway, in the Pacific Northwest, the most common thing to see is when you show up at a Christmas tree farm, they'll say a price per foot. And this might be a standard of what you might have seen in our area last year. I didn't do a price per foot myself, so I don't know exactly, but a lot of farmers would have been similar to this. So, you know, a noble fir or a Noordman fir might have been $11 per foot, so you get an 8-footer and you're at $88. Grand firs and Doug firs would be a little bit less. And that's really typical of what is going on actually in this area. You know, there's some people that sell for more, some people that sell for less. Last year, which would have been the 2020 season, this is what we sold for at our Christmas tree farm, or approximately. I don't remember exactly. The Doug firs might be a little bit different. But if you bought a noble fir, Noordman fir, it was $75, any size tree. And the reason we decided to do any size tree is we don't have a huge inventory right now. So if people wanted to buy a smaller one for less money, and I was like, you know, they're like, but it's only 4 feet tall. And I was like, yeah, I can't give that to you for $30 because in 2 years I'm going to sell it for $80, $85. We don't have the extra inventory that we could afford to sell smaller trees cheaper. We wanted to grow them up to a full size. Also, we had a few rare trees still on the farm that were 10 feet tall or taller. And, you know, we've talked about raising the price on that, but then when you raise the price on that, it slows some people down on taking them. And then that means another year, so they might still be there another year. So now they're 11 or 12 feet tall, and that means I have to get up on a ladder and shear it and work the tops and everything. So we don't price our taller trees, at least currently we don't, and it's something we discuss every year, but we don't price our really tall trees at a higher price because we want them gone, and we want to put a new tree in that place, and we want a tree that we can work while standing on the ground. And Thorntons, who's the largest, started doing this several years ago, and they have tags that they put on their tree, and they individually price every tree. So on this tag, there's multiple, I'll show it up close on a different view, but there's multiple prices on here. There's probably at least 20 different prices. They wire this onto the tree and they take a hole punch and they punch the hole of the price of the tree that they're planning to sell that tree for. And he says there's no way he's not going to do it that way. He makes a lot more money by doing it. He gets more value out of his trees. And he was referring to another Christmas tree farmer here that is probably the second largest, who's 3 miles from me, who switched to that, and he was saying how that guy that switched recently is going to price per individual tree from now on, and that's the way he swears he's going to go. Now I'm going to show some comments that Glenn made during our visit today. I'll work them into the video here, but there's the price per type of tree that people do, price per foot, and then there's individually pricing. The individual pricing, they swear they get a lot more money for their trees, but it does take a little bit of time to go mark them. One of the other advantages of tagging your trees and pricing them individually is if there's no tag on the tree, you can't buy it. And so if he feels like he needs to leave a certain section of trees or a certain number of trees behind, he doesn't tag those trees. People know they can't buy it. Obviously, if someone comes and begs him for it, he'll make him a deal. But generally speaking, that way he could set aside the certain amount of trees that he feels is necessary for the following years. Okay, you're talking about this market, and you know, I'm getting a decent price for my tree. When I got started, the guy said, do you want to be a price taker or do you want to be a price setter? Actually, he said, do you want to be a price setter like Glen Thornton, or do you want to be a price taker? And what he was saying is, do you want to set the price and get good money for it, or do you want to just take what people will give you? So walking up to this tree, I saw This is last year's price tag. This is last year's price tag. You individually price every tree, right? So, you know, I know a few farmers that do that. Some do it by the foot, some do it by the variety. Have you always done individually priced trees, and what's the advantage of that, and who prices all of them?
I started selling trees for $7 a piece, flat rate, and I got up to about $13 flat rate. And then I said, I'm going to buy tags. Well, the first year, see, any tree out there is $13. Well, I had a ticket made. I didn't get too aggressive, but I think I had like $19.95 was my top price in that day. And I've been selling for $13. Well, right away, here's two customers coming. Young lady and this older gentleman. And the guy, he paid, I had a $19.95 on it. That's a tree I want. He bought it. And this young lady, she came along, she said she wanted a smaller tree. It was $13.95. And got talking, well, last year you were selling that 1995 tree for $13.95. And the guy who bought it said, yeah, but he says, I got a lot bigger tree than you have. So that's helped keep us in business.
Yeah.
Now I have another friend. He's down in Staten, Oregon, somewhere down in there. And he came out and he wanted to see how I was doing it. And so he went and got some tickets made up and he priced these trees individually. He said, Glenn, I'm getting a lot more money out of my trees than I would be if I had to do it flat rate. And one year and this has been about 3 or 4 years ago now, he come by and he said, hey, I'd like to see one of your price tags. I said, okay, and I gave him. Well, what he was doing, he went and got his own tags priced and started individually tagging and pricing trees. And somebody came in here, and they were talking, and this woman was talking about, boy, these trees are high priced. And she says to her friend, let's go out to Wiseman's. And she says, I just out there, and their trees are $80. So, anyway, then Bruce went to ask Tom and he says, 15 years I sold flat rate, 15 years. He says, 15 years?
So funny story on that.
Named Wendy.
You know, a couple years ago, we all ran out of trees down there. We're shutting down early, and Bruce shut down
a week.
He's shut down earlier than we did. Yeah. And being a friend and 3 miles down the street, he drove up and said, I'm sending mine your way. I was like, don't do that. We don't have enough trees anyway. But he goes, and you got to raise the prices on your trees because we were selling trees at 70 that he was selling at 110. So, anyway.
Well, that's what he said to me.
So Barry and I were talking about how we're not good businessmen because we're both nice guys. So the shortage of trees last year, you know, Wiseman's closed down early. We had to close down early. And we did raise our prices from the year before, but we raised them $10, and the market would have bore more from where we were. But we're like, we just can't stand to raise our price more than $10 a year for these people that have been coming back every year. So, I mean, there's a nice balance between
go get yourself a ticket and print it up and put it on that tree, and you'll find how much are you charging for a tree.
Last year we sold nobles for $75, but that included trees that were 10, 11 feet tall.
Oh, gosh.
But we didn't have a whole lot of those. But here's our reasoning on that. And we've been round and round on marking up the bigger trees for more and everything. And we did that one year. And then the years that we didn't do that, the big trees were gone. The years that we did do that, some of them stayed, and then I had to climb up on a ladder and shear that sucker the next year and put a top on it. So there was value in us getting that tree out. And yes, it's a great deal. I mean, people, for a while there we had, because as we were developing our customer base, we got to where we had a lot of big trees. And when people found out that we were selling 10 footers for the same price as 8 footers, we got flooded and they got cleaned out. And we were like, we could have made a lot more money, which we could have, but we were happy to get these trees that we were climbing up on ladders out of there and get new ones started.
Well, see, I'm really interested in talking to you, and I don't want to be offensive.
No,
But
tell
you
it like
said,
it
well,
is.
I'm a nice guy. The inference is I'm not a nice guy.
Well, you're not, Glenn. Just kidding.
Well, hey.
No, but we've had that discussion about you. Not, I mean, we just said, Glenn's a better businessman.
Well, I don't know how much. See, I actually was able to quit my daytime job in 1987.
Thanks for joining me on the Flanagan Homestead, where Christmas trees are my business, teaching and cleaning horticulture is my job, and outdoor projects are my passion.